Hello everyone and welcome to the Gaming Den. Today's servant review is going to be over one of my favorite servants, Servant Nitocris. I'm glad you're asking me that. Who is Nitocris? Nitocris is a 4-star caster that amongst the 4-star caster has the highest attack stat, but however she has the lowest HP stat and is tied with Mari Summer for those stats. So that's a good question, actually. So what other stats make her shine properly? So with casters, they're not known for their actual star absorption, but it is still worth note that she is tied with Mari Summer, Iris Veil, and Nursery Rhyme for her star gen absorb. And then as far as her actual crit gen, she is tied with Rhyme and Iris Veil again, but then she has Elizabeth also to worry about for her crit gen. And then finally, her last stat that we need to really worry about is her Noble Phantasm generation, which is the second highest among 4-star casters, and she's tied with Nursery Rhyme in that regard, and then right below Elizabeth for that. For casters specifically, you're looking for a lot of art cards because you want to have Noble Phantasm Gen, which comes through your arts. And Nitocris' cases, she has 3 arts, 1 quick, and 1 buster, while her attack hits on her buster are 3 along with her arts, as well as being a 3, 4 on the quick, and then 5 on the extra. So, Nitocris has multiple different passive skills and active skills. Starting with her passive skills, she has Territory Creation A, which gives a 10% arts performance increase. For her next passive, she has Item Construction B+, which increases her debuff success rate by 9%. This is important to take note for later. Divinity B increases her own damage each attack regardless of it is by 175 damage. With this, we also now go into our active skills. Her first active skill is called Egyptian Magecraft A, which increases her own instant kill success rate for 3 turns and then also recovers some HP as well. At level 1, it increases the instant kill rate by 50% and then has also a 1k HP heal on it. At level 10, it increases the success rate by 100% and then also has a 3k HP heal on it, while the cooldown though at level 1 is 7 turns, it is 5 turns at level 10. We now go into our second skill, which is called Rapid Words of Divine B, which charges her Noble Phantasm bar. At level 1, it charges it by 60%, and then at level 10, it charges it by 120%. This skill, however, has a long cooldown of 9 turns at level 1, and then 7 turns at level 10. Now we go into our final skill called Affection of the Sky God B. This skill grants self-guts for 1 time of 3 turns and then also removes her own debuffs. At level 1, she revives with 1k HP, and at level 10, she revives with 2k HP. The cooldown was worth note as well, as it has a 7-turn cooldown at level 1, and then finally at level 10, it has a 5-turn cooldown. All servants have a way to cast their judgment upon their enemies, regardless of who they are. Though, in this case, Nitocris has the Noble Phantasm called the Nether Mirror. Now, it's actually called something else, but let's be honest, I'm bad at pronunciation. I'm not even going to attempt. I'll just destroy that name. In the wrong way. Not a good way. Anyways, moving on before it gets awkward. So, it's an arts noble that attacks all enemies and can cause instant kill at all enemies, which activates first level. At level 1, it deals 450% damage, and then at level 5, it deals 750% damage. The overcharge effect provides a higher chance of overkill, which in this case is a 100% charge is 50% success rate of instant kill, while at 500%, it has an increased success rate of 100%. Now, I would also like to make sure this is noted that later date we get an interlude that it reduces the enemy's critical attack chance by 20% for 3 turns, and then increases damage output at level 1 to 600% and level 5 to 900%. Nitocris has several weaknesses and has several strengths. I want to go over her weaknesses first, which one of her main ones is weak damage output. Due to her having 3 arts and also being a caster class with a 0.9 attack boost, she has relatively low damage due to she doesn't have quicks or busters available to her. Then, which also leads into her Noble Phantasm, which is pretty niche Noble Phantasm as it is, since it has the instant kill. As for instant kill, it's good against regular enemies, but it's not good against servants. And as we go along in the game, there will be more and more servants that will become enemies. So it becomes not as useful. So even with the instant kill not being a factor, she also has low damage output on that Noble Phantasm. Then finally, she also has long cooldowns. This could be a breaking point for a servant, since it is very useful to have skills up at almost not all times, because their cooldowns are going to be at lowest like 4. But you also want to keep in mind that a long cooldown can prevent a servant from doing what they need to do. So in the case of her second skill, which has 9 turns of a cooldown at level 1, it's a bit of a long cooldown. But then we go into her strengths, which her strength involves great for farming and on-demand Noble Phantasm. Both of those go hand in hand because you want to farm with her Noble Phantasm, since her instant kill Noble Phantasm helps a lot against multiple enemies being taken out at once, instead of having to rely on doing out someone else's Noble Phantasm, like Raiko for example. So you could just go ahead and just use that, then out the numbers, and then you could use regular attacks to finish off the rest of them. And then finally, she also has good survivability. Her first skill providing a heal, and then her third skill providing a guts ability, also removing her debuffs, is really good for her survivability, allows her to just be overall good, and allows her to keep her in the field for much longer. Some suggestions for craft essences that I would make would be formal craft. Formal craft is really good for her in general just because she has a lot of art cards, including 3 of them being regular arts and then 1 of them being a Noble Phantasm through her arts. As for other suggestions, I would have to go with something that involves her Noble Phantasm, so in that case I would have to say Black Grail would be a good choice, or Heaven's Feel would be a good choice, because they both increase Noble Phantasm damage up. Nitocris best serves on an arts team for the purpose that she has 3 arts and a Noble Phantasm that's an art, so it is best suggested to go ahead and just put her with an arts team, especially if you have Tamamo no Mai. If you don't have Tamamo no Mai, you can still use Nitocris, but just try to grab a support Tamamo if you can, due to Tamamo's Noble Phantasm being very helpful to helping those long cooldowns be shorter than they need to be. So with that being said though, that is the best suggestion I have for Nitocris. And this has been my in-depth review on Nitocris. Thank you for joining me in the Gaming Den.